Welcome to Stay Paid, your number one sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals, keep more clients, and build the life of freedom you are working towards. But that can only happen if you are willing to take action today. My name is Josh Dyke, Chief Marketing Officer at Reminder Media, and as always, joined by Luke Acree, President of Reminder Media. And our guest today is Troy Reierson. Troy is the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Arizona, California, and Nevada properties, with a career built on navigating and leading through the fast-changing real estate landscape. Troy is equal parts strategist, mentor, and growth champion, known for helping agents unlock their full potential while driving innovation and performance across his organizations. Troy, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for reaching out. It's a pleasure and an honor to hang with both you guys today.
Yeah, Troy, I'm excited to have you on the show. You are truly a master in the space. You have a lot of experience. I want to come and ask you one of the difficult questions that agents are dealing with right now, or things that are happening to them, which is the interest rates and what's happening with inventory and all the pent-up demand on the sideline. I think interest rates, hovering around 6.8% or so. And the struggle is, that's driving, prices higher. The inventory, some markets it's more, some markets it's less. It's really confusing for people. The economists at NAR are saying if interest rates come down to 6%, there should be a wave of transactions coming onto the market, is what they're predicting. So I'm just curious, what are you coaching? Because you manage, some massive markets there with California and Arizona, Nevada. What are you trying to share with your agents of how to deal with this problem with interest rates and pricing and inventory?
Well, great question, Luke. It's the pandemic problem that we all have right now. And I think the biggest area that we're leaning into is simply this. Rates are what rates are, okay? So many of our folks forget about how important it is to utilize their sphere. And I call it their ATM. I mean, that's really where everything sits, is inside their sphere. So a big area we focus on is just making sure that your database is up to date. I mean, is it clear? Are you logging your conversations in there? Do you know everything you need to know about those that are inside of your ATM or inside of your sphere? And if they are, fantastic, because your conversations are going to be much greater. And they're going to add more. You're going to be able to add more value faster to those individuals, whether they're looking to buy or sell or do nothing. Your conversation can roll as it needs to roll. It's going to feel genuine. It's going to feel authentic. And most importantly, you're going to be able to touch more people faster. What we're finding is this. A lot of us do a very bad job of keeping our sphere up to where it needs to be. And if it's
You're telling me, man, it's why we're in business. I keep telling agents this. I'm like, yes, preach.
Yeah.
Anyways, everybody, if we lost you, come back, listen to Troy right now and remindermedia.com. No, I'm just kidding.
No, man, no. It's and so much of it is, look, we look at it as it is an administrative task. And for those that are extremely successful, they shouldn't be doing it themselves. They should be paying somebody. They're not working a $15 or $20 an hour job. That's why they do what they do. So what we're talking is, look, get the help you need, even in a downtime, because there's two things that we need to focus on. Interest rates are what they are. You can help people understand their why at a greater level. And oftentimes their why is simply because they're bored or they're tired of the home that they're in. That's a tough person to move right now. Their why may not be strong enough. We know that if there's, death, baby, divorce, those types of things, then it's a little bit different. But what we're finding, and Luke and Josh, I know you guys are seeing the same thing. It's hard to leave a 3% mortgage rate to go into 6.8% mortgage rate and buy a lot less home for a lot more money.
Right.
One avenue we talk about is there an opportunity for that, for those folks to perhaps rent their home with a 3% mortgage rate while they move into something different. And perhaps they're earning some income with that property to help them with the new property until things stabilize or change. So what we want to do is dive in deeper to find out what's important to them. And if and when there is no level of importance at this time, you keep in touch. You touch that sphere continuously, but you might touch that sphere a little more sporadic than others. So, for us, it's like, make sure that sphere is tight. Now, I want to give you one other tip on this. This is something we're really big in, and our folks hear me say this all the time. we really have two jobs. Our first job is prospecting. You need to prospect to find people that are interested in purchasing a product that you have availability to. That's your number one job. When you find that person, you know what your second job is? You service that person better than anyone else in the world can service that person. And that's it. That's two jobs. With those two jobs, if you're doing anything else outside of those two jobs that doesn't touch one of those two jobs, stop doing it. And with rates where they're at today, and this is critical, those two jobs, you can perform exponentially more. You've got a lot more time on your hands to make a lot more calls. And I know this is an eye-opener to people. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. I typically make 10 calls a day. Well, why aren't you making 40 calls a day right now? Because it's going to take a lot more effort today than it ever used to. So if you're not Luke, you get it. If you're not changing with our environment, you're not going to get any better results. Matter of fact, you're going to get worse results. So
it's so true because I find in business in general, like what you just did is simplicity drives clarity. Clarity allows you to execute. And the thing that we always do as people is we get paralysis by analysis. And the saying goes, if you confuse, you lose. And what's happening to agents right now is they're confused because they don't have clarity. And they don't have clarity because they're overcomplicating what the business really is about. And if you just rewind people for literally the last 30 seconds, you just got immense clarity. You only have two things you have to do. You have to prospect and you have to serve better than anybody else. And if you just know that, it drives such ability to execute. We have found with Acre Brothers Real Estate exactly what you're recommending when it comes to like your sphere. Like I am teaching people right now, you need to be educating now more than ever, because I'll give you a real world scenario. I was at one of our church meetings the other day. We were doing like kind of this Bible study thing. And John, one of the members at the church, was there. And he literally shared with me the exact thing that you just referenced. Him and his wife and family have a home. They have a really low interest rate in the 3s. And they're thinking about buying another home and renting their current home because they don't want to lose that 3%. And so it's literally exactly what you're saying. But here's the catch for everybody. You'll never know that if you don't reach out to your sphere and have the combos around that strategy. So like, what's the action item? Hey, all you have to do is prospect. You need to make your calls. What call are you making? You need to call all your sphere this week and educate them on what's happening with interest rates. Educate them on what you're seeing some of your clients do. And even if the majority, 98%, don't take advantage of it, guess what you just did, though? You added value. You elevated yourself as a subject matter expert. And ultimately, when the time comes where they're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, they'll choose you. So it's just, I want the audience to catch that the difference in the separator between really successful people in business and ones that aren't are the people that can take action. But you only take action if you have clarity, and you only have clarity if you have simplicity. And so you have to get down to the simple fundamentals in the business. You want to let JT in?
We're gonna breaking news.
We're bringing in the big guns right now. JT,
podcast. JT Thompson joining. We had a little internet issue in the beginning, so we're bringing JT back on. Real quick, I want to introduce him as a 38-year-old veteran of the real estate industry. He is the co-founder of Intero Real Estate Services and now general manager of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Arizona, California, and Nevada properties. JT, can you hear us? All right, there you are, brother.
5 minutes in, the internet just shuts off.
That's okay. We were forgiving you, but Troy, man, he was ripping you a new one. We were like,
we're ready to close out. So.
It's not okay. It's not okay.
And I like how you called me 38 years old.
Come on,
too.
man. Professionalism.
I said,
there you go.
Well, 38-year veteran,
Yeah.
Sure.
I got a question for you, JT, right? With nearly 40 years in
What's
the
wrong
industry,
with me?
What keeps real estate Yeah, exactly. That literally that's the more appropriate way to say it. I was going to say, what keeps real estate exciting, and how do you instill the same fire into your agents, especially the ones who might be struggling or facing the burnout. I mean, we just got through talking with Troy about the problem right now with interest rates, and, agents are struggling. like you've been in it for almost 40 years. How do you keep that fire alive? And how do you teach agents right now who are feeling a little burned out?
The fun part about what we do is there's always somebody that's having their best year ever. In fact, Troy, you went to lunch with one of our agents yesterday having his best year ever, right? And so, making sure everyone understands that no matter what the market conditions, right, you got to get it out of your head. This business is so much in your head as well. How hard are you working at really enjoying what you're doing, having fun, and growing and learning? Because I'm always having fun when I'm growing and learning. And this business is constantly shifting, constantly changing. You're needing to always develop new skills. Last year, of course, the being able to develop a skill of talking to a buyer about your value, having them sign a contract, that was a new skill that you needed to learn and grow and develop on. So whenever I'm doing that, and whenever I know the people around me are doing that in their business, never fails that they end up, no matter what the market conditions are, they're doing okay.
Yeah, it's super well said. I'm curious, especially for you, Troy, because your background, it was a little different coming up the ranks in the real estate industry. And, you got to see it from the side of like the companies that sell to real estate agents and then, getting in with the real estate agents. What do you see in yourself? And it's hard for people to brag about themselves. I get this, but I would ask you and JT to brag about yourself a little bit. Why is it that you've made it to becoming CEO of these three major areas and brand? Like what has enabled you to do that? As you look at your skill set versus what other people maybe lack, what would you say is a separator for you that you would encourage others to have?
Luke, I'll just say it simply. Work works. You work hard every single day. You leave it all in the field. I'm sure, Luke, you and your team do the same thing. It's if you're going to bed at night exhausted, it means you did what you were supposed to do. Working my way through all the different things that I've done, from mortgage to Zillow to, I'm sorry, we're not supposed to swear. I know that. Sorry about that, guys. But, mortgage to all the things, right? To where I am today, it's really no different than how a real estate professional works their sphere. My sphere was different. My sphere was working with a lot of executives throughout the years and helping them with their business. As a matter of fact, the company I'm running today is a gentleman. He was a client of mine back in the day. And he literally tapped me on the shoulder because I told him I was looking to perhaps move on from what I was doing. I was in mergers and acquisitions with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices, running, the western half of the country. And I said, hey, I need to be home more. And he's like, Troy, don't do anything. I got something for you. And, we talked it through, and he brought me in as his general manager at the time. And then we very quickly decided he wanted to retire after that. But, look, there's no magic pill at the end of the day. I'd love to say, here's what you can do to become successful in life. There's no magic pill other than putting the time in. And those that know me know that I'm a time management junkie. If there's anything that I probably do okay in life, it's managing my time and making sure that I'm extremely efficient with every minute of the day. The last thing I want to do, Luke and Josh, is look back and go, oh my gosh, there was this big gap in my calendar. What did I do during that time? Because that's one thing I'll never be able to purchase more of or buy back. And that never leaves my mind. Am I making every minute of the day count? Just like right now with your podcast, there's nothing more important in my day than to making sure that I am 100% present with the two of you, three of you with JT here. If JT drops again, it'll just be the two of you again. But with all of you, there's nothing more important to me right now than doing this, because I want to make a difference wherever I can. And again, to simplify it, guys, work works. Never go half in, and never, ever look at a plan B, because there is no plan B if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's funny because you said you wanted to get off the road and have more time, and they literally brought you into real estate, which is historically known for not getting your hours back. So can you dive a little bit more in the practicality of the time management? Like, how do you manage your calendar? How are you encouraging agents to manage their calendar to be masters of time management?
Yeah, again, great question. And part of that is, the old adage, and I think most of us understand what time blocking is. And if you don't, it's very simple. In your calendar, you have specific things that you're doing at specific times every day. And look, in real estate, I know it can get a little haphazard at times, but it doesn't mean that your prospecting hours can't be from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every single day, and that's what you do. It doesn't mean that you don't show homes from noon to 5 every day, and that's what you do. Again, you create your calendar. You own your calendar because it's your time. It's no one else's. What we do, where we struggle perhaps a little bit in our industry, is setting boundaries, because we always need to be available for clients, which you're right. We do need to be available for our clients, but you also need to be available for your family. And when I transitioned over from working for Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices on the mergers and acquisition side, I was traveling 99% of the time. I was running 13 states.
Jeez.
And that's what I need. That's what I wanted to get away from, was traveling every single week. I don't mind traveling from time to time. I still travel in this job. We have 3 states that we work in. But I didn't want to travel, nearly 100% of the time. And by doing that, I now have structured my day accordingly. I start early. I'm usually in the office by 6:30, and I usually try to get out of the office about 4:30. But it doesn't mean my phone's
What time do you get up?
I'm a little later guy. I get up about 5:30, and I know others are getting up.
So you literally
you're really sleeping in, yeah.
You get up and you're right to the office right away. Yeah.
But to me, again, I go to bed early too, you guys. I mean, I'm in bed by 8:30, lights out. Typically no later than 9:15, lights are out, and I'm asleep. So sleep is so critical to managing your time, because if you're groggy, you're going to slip through.
I'm realizing that I'm realizing that same thing right now, is that, oh gosh, I really got to be as intentional about my quality of sleep. I'm starting to wear my Apple Watch at night just to try to track.
I'm feeling similar.
Yeah, my quality, because you realize how much it's like an athlete, right? It affects everything you do and your ability to perform. I'm curious, because I'm starting to lean in, because I'm less in my journey than you guys, of not as long in it. And I'm starting to realize the calendar is almost the most important thing in your business. Like I used to start with agents when I was, working with them all on their marketing strategies. And now I'm backing it all the way up, even to the why, of, hey, I need to know your motivation. That's core. But it's like, okay, let's look at how you're spending your time and your money, because that tells us everything we need to know about your belief system in your life. But I still struggle, like the big pain point, and maybe JT, you chime in on this too. The big pain point is, because I have 2 agents I can think of right now that I'm trying to get Tim, his biggest problem is time management. We say it every call we have on Thursdays. And Noah, his biggest problem is being able to stick to what he put on his calendar, because something pops up. And then it's like, okay, I said I was going to do prospecting between these hours. Something popped up. So now he's no longer doing the prospecting, but now he's off on his commitment. So how do you, as a leader, should I hold him accountable and say, hey, you didn't do what you said you were going to do, right? Should I call him out? Or do you give grace and say you should have a flexible shift? Like, what's your guys' thoughts on this? This is a huge problem that I'm seeing.
I had a fun game I would play with agents, and I still will to this day. One of the hard parts is I ask for just, can you give me one day? I'll let you screw up the other 4 or 5, however many you're working in the week, but give me one day, give me on an Excel spreadsheet. If it was perfect, if it was ideal, what would you do from the second you woke up to the second you went to bed? And I want it down to the half hour, the entire day spelled out. And then I want you to pick one day next week. Tell your family, tell your friends that you're going to be stupidly obsessed about following this schedule. Literally, like if I had something else scheduled at 8:30, I'd be telling you guys right now, guys, it's 8:29. I got to go at 8:30, right? You stop everything just for one day. Give it to me for one day. Then give that to your coach, give that to your manager, give that to anybody that cares for you. And then I would get it. I would usually revise it, but then 5-6 times throughout the day, I would just call. If they said they were going to get up at 4:30, at 4:31, I would call them and go, are you up? Okay, bye, boom. And I'd hang up. I'd hold them accountable for just that one day. to exactly doing what they said they were going to do. And then the next day, we analyze how they felt about what they got done in that day. And everybody is always blown away about, oh my God, the day I had time for everything. The day seemed to last forever. I wasn't rushed because they moved right through their schedule and they had somebody holding them accountable to it. I just would call them all. They're like, are you doing this? Oh, are you having lunch with your wife? Because that's what you said you were supposed to be doing. Yep. Okay, bye. Boom. And then I would hang up. And it's a great exercise to run with agents.
Yeah, I'll jump on that.
Reminder Media too. Yeah, please do jump on.
Yeah, I'll jump on that as well. Look, if you're pushing things aside and other things are getting in the way, all you're telling me is it's just not your priority. If prospecting is not your priority, that's okay. But you're just telling me real estate's not your priority either. And again, that's okay. This job is not for everybody. Those two individuals that you're working with currently, Luke, they're just telling you it's not as important as, Johnny calling me about going to lunch right now. It's just not. And again, own that. Just be okay with it, but also be okay not succeeding in real estate or just be okay doing a couple deals a year. I don't know if that's okay with you and your team and your code of honor on your team. Maybe not, but
it's not.
Then, well, there you go. So then what you are I'll tell you this, by keeping them, if they're not willing to make the change and you working with them and maybe holding them a little bit more accountable, like JT was saying, hold them heavily accountable for a couple of weeks and they may self-select and say, this is not the team for me. Well, it's okay. You're not really losing anything. Or they might say, thank you, Luke. That's exactly what I needed to be all in. And what I know is people think they can't be 100% all in with real estate because then they can't be 100% all in with the fun that they want to do or 100% all in with their family. And I'll tell you this, you can be 100% all in everything that you do if you block the time to do it. And that's what I think that's what you're not getting with these couple of folks on your team.
Yeah, it applies so much with Reminder Media, our business here. We have, almost 300 team members. And no matter how we try to structure things strategy-wise, everything, it literally comes down to checking in on the people to verify, did they do what they said they were going to do? And every leader wants to give their people autonomy, but the more experience you have in true leadership, your job is to set the vision, but get their commitment of what they say, working together, what they say they want, what they say they're going to do. And then you must religiously check in on that. And it's kind of the Robert Herjavec I heard at a conference say one time that he got the chance to sit down with Elon Musk. And he was saying, Elon, a lot of my people are telling me that I'm a micromanager. And he said, Elon looked at him and said, you're a micromanager. I'm a nano manager. And and that stuck with me because nobody wants to hear that. But all the greatest, at least for me, because it's probably arrogant, but I consider myself to be an A player. I want the nano management. Like if I was on your team, Troy, I would want you to be like basically on me, like right on right, just picking apart everything that I'm doing to try to make me better. That has been my experience. I don't know if you guys find the same, but not a lot of people want that. And it's hard because do you put up with I call them Thomas the Tank Engines. Do you know what I mean? Do you put up with the people who it's like, yeah, they're producing a couple deals in here and there. They're doing a thing. Do you put up with those people? How do you make that call with what you guys are doing?
For me, I say, yes, you put up with them because running a big company like we have, not everybody's ready for that type of accountability at every given spot in their life, but you have to be there and be ready when they're ready to jump in and go, I'm here for you. You're not clearly demonstrating that you want it right now, but when you do, and when you're ready to have somebody hold you accountable to what you really want, I'm here for you and I'll support it and I'll be there. But in the meantime, if they're not going to participate, there's nothing a good coach can do.
Yeah, that's super well said. That's a great way to think about it.
When you're ready,
I'm here for you when you're ready.
Yeah.
When you're ready, I'm here for you. Because it has the right tone to it too. And it's also, what true leadership's about. is, being there for people. Okay, I would love to switch gears a little bit and talk, kind of how the industry is changing with AI and technically how you guys are thinking about your brand and how you differentiate yourself in the marketplace, not just with like AI and tech, but in general, like how does a real estate agent stand out today? Because there's so many agents. The average consumer knows 4 agents right now that they're connected to is what some of the stats are saying. So how do you separate yourself from the competition, and how are you guys thinking about AI and all of that?
Troy, that's right up your alley with what you've been working on. So.
Sure. Well, what separates us, it's not fair to say that anything has separated us in AI yet. I'd love to say, we're making all these massive strides. We're right in the thick of it, Luke. We are literally, but we're all in. With everything we've done over the last few months, I myself have gotten pretty well versed in it. I would say I'm still, pretty amateur also at the end of the day because it's changing so quickly. But what we're doing as an organization, we're leaning in heavy, but we're leaning in a little bit differently than other companies. Our focus is on how to use AI responsibly. And you'll hear us talk about that word in our company continually. It's very easy to plug something into artificial intelligence, have it spit something out, grab it, throw it in there and run. And as you know, it may not be factual at the end of the day. So,
well, what's interesting on that point, the New York Post said about 24% of listings were flagged as AI authored this year, raising major trust issues in the industry. And that's funny. I didn't even know you were going to bring this up, but I had that down in another question for you guys. So it's like you don't want to get caught in this area where you've had it all written by AI, and then all of a sudden now you're revealed that all your stuff has been AI.
Correct. So here's where we're leaning in. One is we're going to educate on AI to an extent. Rajiv Sajja is actually building an academy for this for all of Home Services of America. And so we'll have a certification that everyone will go through that wants to use AI responsibly and become slightly educated. But the bigger area that we're working in, Luke, is to create systems and processes so people don't necessarily have to understand how the sausage is made. They just get the sausage at the end of the day. And by doing that, we are going to give our agents back 2 hours a day, every day through the week. So our goal is 40 hours a month, giving them back by the end of this year through the use of systems, processes, and giving them the ability to allow AI to handle a lot of those $15 and $20 an hour tasks for them so they don't have to. So they can do what they want to do, which is sell homes, meet people, get in relationships, earn a nice income, help people and change their lives. That's our goal. And they can't do that when they're caught in all the administrative tasks. So our focus really is on, we said it earlier today, how do I help simplify the process? How do I give more clarity to allow them to do what they love to do the most? And this is something we're leaning heavily in. It's one of my top 3 priorities right now. And behind the scenes, there's actionable items taking place. We've actually hired someone for our company specifically that's all he does right now is working on systems, processes, and automation.
It's I don't know if you guys feel the same. I feel like the Team Ridge is taking over the industry. And the reason why is because you have all these top producers that can get themselves on teams and basically, they're giving up a portion of their split, but they're gaining all the leverage administration wise that they hate to do. And they can only focus on the things they love to do. And that's the value prop. So the brokerage has been suffering, right? Because essentially the team has now started to give what the brokerage used to give, but you're on the right track of there still hasn't been for the solo agent out there, at least I haven't seen it, where the brokerage is basically giving almost like the team type infrastructure to a solo agent. So if you can pull off what you're saying, where you're going to take on all this administration, then you might have the solo agent really come back in full force and from a production standpoint, because they're able to focus on just what they love. Because I have agents on our team. It's like the reason they're on the team is they love being able to just work and do as much work as possible, but only on the things they love, not on the administrative task, not on the other stuff, because we have obviously transaction coordinators, the ops people. And that's what I think is missing right now for the solo agent. And if you guys could bring that to the solo agent, that actually changes the industry in my mind from a directional standpoint, because it's all headed towards teams. Is how it feels from the people who are producing.
Well, and especially it's towards teams, and any of the top. Whenever the market shifts and gets tougher, the better agents, basically, it becomes harder and harder to compete with the better and bigger teams and agents when the market is like what we've been in the last 2 years, for sure.
Right.
So this will help an individual agent compete more efficiently in the marketplace.
And Luke, on top of that, it's going to help our teams grow bigger as well. I mean, the whole goal is, how do I help our teams with administrative tasks that they might be paying for? If I can help alleviate some of the pressure points, we're one of the few brokerages that's a very team friendly company. About 20 years ago, as this brokerage was going through an innovation, that was one of the areas that Mark Stark, who owned the company at the time, that's one thing that he leaned into and got feedback from, is we need a team-friendly environment. So, the term was coined back in the day. We allow brokerages inside of our brokerage. So we're a business services company, is how we look at ourselves over a brokerage. So as much as we love working with individual agents, we love equally as much working with teams and helping them become the best version of themselves and building an actual sellable asset someday, so they can too build that business and maybe someday retire.
That's a great point, because the huge pain point in the industry is lack of retirement. And you guys might know him, because I know he was big within Berkshire Hathaway, but Alan Dalton, he's been one of my mentors. And he basically drilled into my head this idea of, you're not a past agent, right? And you shouldn't have past clients. And what I love about the Berkshire Hathaway brand and what you guys are doing there with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services is this forever agent concept that you have. Can you guys speak a little bit to this kind of forever agent concept and being in touch with the client? Because I think that's a huge separator. Like, two separators I see for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. One is that forever agent, mentality. And then two is your brand and what it stands for from a trustworthiness standpoint. The quality of the brand is significant in the mind of the consumer, at least in my interactions with people.
Yeah. So first, we'll just touch on the quality of the brand. You hit it spot on. The brand stands for integrity. The gentleman I was having lunch with yesterday, one of our top agents here in Las Vegas, I always ask him, I'm like, man, you've been with me for almost 9 years now. You've been here longer than I've been here. And, what keeps you here? And it's always the same thing. It's like, Troy, this brand built me. This brand eliminated so many objections when I was a new agent. There were so many things that I didn't even have to answer because of the implied credibility that I had working with this brand. Where Alan has done, such a great job over the years, and he did a lot of consulting with the brand, and he's a brilliant guy and a dear friend. Alan stepped in, and he is so great with systems and processes and the forever agent concept. And you're exactly right. You don't have past clients, you don't have a database, you got a database, you don't have, he's so great. I mean, he's a wordsmith too, right? He's just a brilliant guy and just a lot
he's
of
like
fun.
A madman agency is what it is. It's like Madman, the agency. That's how Alan Dalton is.
But that concept and the Forever Pledge and everything that he did with that, it's got tremendous legs, and it really helps with what JT and I work on all the time is mindset. When you go in with that mindset and just ask the simple question, hey, I'd like to be your forever agent. Are you interested in that? That's a pattern interrupt that client wasn't even looking for, to go, well, yeah, well, now you've just coined yourself their forever agent. So there's tremendous amount behind that with all the marketing and, the journey that the clients go down. And quite frankly, we can do a much better job than what we've been doing. We've had some distractions over the last 2 to 3 years with industry and market and everything else. And it's just a great reminder of us getting back to, our core DNA as to who we are.
And that all that falls flat if you don't actually have the organization behind you that does stand up to the posters on the wall. And that's what is fun about working with Berkshire Hathaway and Home Services. They aren't just sayings on walls and posters. They live to them. And they show it, constantly to leadership and to the agents in the organization.
Yeah. That's where I think it's like, and this is, I think applicable to any agent out there, whatever brand you're in that's listening to this, is this forever agent concept of just the pattern interrupt of, the dentist is able to sell their practice. The financial advisor is able to sell their practice. The doctor is able to sell their practice. The insurance company, because we work in insurance too, they can sell their business. And the differentiator between why they can sell and an agent can't is because they're selling their client base, they're selling their patient base, and then some systems and operations that have gone around that. But the real net worth is that residual of that client base. And what you guys are doing there at Berkshire Hathaway, which I love, is that you're trying to basically implement that same concept of you as a real estate agent. Your most important thing is building that client base and nurturing it. And you even have your what I call is like the financial planner side. Mm-hmm. It's like the real estate planner side where you're able to sit down annually with the consumer that you have and walk them through their biggest asset, and which is usually their home, from a financial perspective. And that's just such a different concept than what most agents do. And I'm trying to implement that at Acre Brothers, is going, hey, we do annual reviews with our clients in regards to their financial situation with their home and what they want to do buying, selling, or investing. And it's so critical too, because like right now I want to remodel our kitchen and our bathroom. And I had Tim, a real estate agent here that I'm connected with, Tim Garrity, shout out to him. He's been on our podcast before, come out to our home to look at our home and tell me how much money should I spend budget wise on the kitchen or on the bathroom. Like, what should my limit be based upon where I'm at? And that's such value to me, because you could spend 10 grand on a bathroom. You could spend 50 grand on a bathroom, but I don't think real estate agents are leaning into that. Why do you guys see that? Why is there a struggle for agents to really lean into, guys, like, you need to be the advisor for the home. And that's why you need to send content that's more than just the just listed, just sold. Like, where's the disconnect in you guys' minds of why agents don't just pick that up?
I think there's a few levers to pull here. And one of them is just, look, our industry can be a highly lucrative industry, and you can get there one of two ways. One is through your sphere, and the other one is just, dialing for dollars, knocking on doors, doing whatever it is, buying leads, whatever it is that you want to do. I think what we forget is I know what's forgotten is nurturing those relationships. And I think I said it early on, was you need to serve your client better than anyone else can serve that client. And part of that is doing exactly what you just said. But it takes effort. It takes work. It takes blocking your time. You've got to be thoughtful. You've got to be intentional. You've got to have a database that's loaded with all the information on that person, so you know where they're heading, not just tomorrow, but in 5 years from now. If you truly understand your client, who should be your friend at this point, not just a client, but if you have a true relationship with that person, you're grabbing dinner sometimes, you're grabbing a beer, you're going to breakfast, whatever it might be, then you know all these things. When you know all these things, it's automatic where they're going to come to you and say, hey, look, I'm looking to remodel my bathroom. I don't know how much money I should put into it. Let me help you with that. It's all conversational. Where I think we struggle a lot in this industry is we keep it transactional. And you got to move past the transaction. Great agents, great teams. Luke, you're already doing this clearly. They understand that it's a different level of relationship that you must build into, and they need to be part of your family at the end of the day. These people trusted you, and you gave them great advice, hopefully, and you helped them buy what they were looking for, hopefully. And there should be a very tight bond between you and that family. You've already created the foundation. You need to build on that foundation. And part of that, becoming a forever agent, helping them with their planning, looking at where they want to go. It's just you leaning deeper in with your goals. You don't have to be a coach. You don't have to want to coach. Just ask a few great questions and they will coach themselves as to where they need to go. If you can be the facilitator that helps that happen, and I highly recommend just facilitating. You don't ever want to give legal advice. You don't want to give financial advice. But if you can facilitate them and their thoughts, you are part of that fabric and they'll never leave you. So you're so right, Luke. As an industry, I think we do a terrible job of this. It's why there's so few top producers in the country and a lot of folks that are doing 1 and 2 and 3 deals a year.
Yep, exactly.
The one point.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I got some
one thing to add.
fire.
The one thing
Go ahead,
you
JT.
try and teach is that to be a great client to an agent, they don't even have to transact with you. And once you get through that process, I'll leave their name off this podcast just in case, but I got into this business 38 years ago. They still live in the same house in Mountain View that they had when I got into this business. And yet that one particular client is responsible for about 14 transactions in my real estate career because I did business with their family, their neighbors, their colleagues at work. And then those people referred other people. And the client that initiated all those sales never sold or bought a house with me. And so having agents understand that concept, which is exactly what you're talking about, this forever agent concept and what Troy talked about, not being transactional. Once you understand that piece of this business, your business is going to take off.
Yeah, super well said. A top producer trait is ability to delay gratification. Is your ability to delay gratification and put in the work for long periods of time. 2 rapid fire questions for you guys, and then we have to wrap up. I feel like I'm just getting started, though. I really want to pick your brains and learn from you from the leadership side. But what's the greatest leadership book that you would recommend to the audience? And if it's not leadership, maybe it's another book. But if you can give me the greatest leadership book you would recommend.
JT, go ahead.
I don't have one. I can't. There's no way I could even say one. Okay. There's just too many of them. Depending also on what I needed at that time in my growth process, different books at different time periods have all impacted me. So I've got a big book list of that I give to agents. So like if you want a library to start reading, here's a list or books to start listening to. Here's the list. I mean. Of course there's,
JT, would you send me that list and I can plug it in the show notes? Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'll plug that list in the show notes so people can read that. But that would be awesome. What about you, Troy? Greatest book or book that's impacted you?
Similar to JT, but I'll tell you one I read, in the last year that is always in my mind. It's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Yeah, Dan Martell. Yep.
There's just so many great, easy things to implement that I walked away with going, why aren't I doing all of these things? And again, that probably leads into me being that time junkie I was telling you about.
Love it. Now that's awesome. Okay. Last question for you. Knowing what you know now after the 40, plus years type experience, what would you go back and tell your younger self in high school? What advice would you give to that kid?
Go become a plumber, get a trade. No, I'm kidding.
Run from real estate.
Oh man, buddy, that's a great question. Well, JT, why don't you take the first one?
One thing I tell my kids is to just always try and, keep your emotions between the lines through life. All right. Never get too excited when things are going great, because I hate to say, I don't mean to sound negative, but they don't stay great forever, right? Be prepared. Be ready for when things dip, when things don't go your way, but also know when they don't go your way, that's also temporary. That it is, you have more control to turn the corner, in time. So as long as you don't let your emotions get too high or too low when things are going great or when things are not going great, you're able to manage through the ups and downs of not only real estate, but life a lot easier.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. For me, it's a good friend of mine said this to me years ago, and it was control the controllables. And there's a story behind it. Maybe if we do this again sometime, I'll share that story behind when that came out and how that affected my life. But boy, I wish I would have heard that, long time ago. And I wish I would focus more on that. When this company was handed over to me, when Mark retired, the market was already starting to dip. So new guy shows up from Home Services of America, from an independently owned company before, and the market's not doing well. And to this date, we haven't really recovered from that. So if I was looking back as a young man, I would say, hey, Troy, you know what? You'll get through it. Don't stress so hard about the day-to-day. Keep in mind that you can only control so much. You can only control your controllables, because I'll tell you, the first 6 months being in this brokerage, tremendous amount of sleepless nights, heart palpitations, more gray hair in the last 3 years than I've ever had in my life. There was a tremendous learning curve for me personally, facing an industry that had been on a run up for almost 12 years. And then I step into the seat and it's on its way down. So it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do professionally, was to take on this challenge. And again, I wish I would have been a better coach to myself, understanding that there are many things outside of my control that didn't need to put me in such a tailspin or allow me to focus solely on the business. I'd come home. You guys are going to appreciate this. I've got a young daughter. Actually, she's 15 now, but I'd come home the first 6 months of the business and in this brokerage, and I'd sit down on the couch about 7 o'clock at night. We were working crazy hours at the time. I was always on the phone, just trying to restabilize and rebalance this company. And as I'd sit down, she got used to looking at me. Her or my wife would say, "Are you out of words today, Dad?" And I said, "I'm out of words today." And that went for a few months with not a lot of talking around the house, just purely focused on the business. So take things a little less seriously. Really focus on your own personal growth, because that will get you through anything else that you need to get through in life.
Well said. Love it. Troy, JT, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an honor to get to spend some time with you guys. Before we close out, you want to let people know how they can connect with you?
Absolutely. My cell phone is all over the internet, guys.
It's on the dark web
I make
too.
it a pact not to use my.
Yeah.
I make it a pact not to use a desk phone. So on my business card is my cell phone. You can always reach out to me on my cell phone. You can reach out to me via email if you have any questions. Troy R, TROYR @BHHSNV.com. Always happy to help and be of assistance.
Yep, same. JT at BHHSNV.com.
We might have lost him there, but we got it. Yeah, we got the email.
We'll put those in the show notes. Thank you all so much for listening. You can dive deeper into this episode, get the video, the show notes, all of the links that we mentioned here on today's episode over at staypaidpodcast.com. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/remindermedia, and follow along our Stay Paid podcast playlist there. And if you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, simply we ask you to share this with somebody that you know. If you thought this was a good conversation, you got as much value out of it as we do, make sure that you are sharing the love and sharing those with others. If you want to get hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com. And you can find us on Instagram. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Troy, JT, pleasure. I want to have you back. I feel like, I'm super excited to keep building a relationship with you guys, because I feel I can learn a ton from you. I always try to give an action item for everybody who listens, because, words are great, but action is better. So you can't just be a hearer. You got to be a doer. And so, guys, I think back on this episode, and man, you got such a great golden nugget, right? Troy was sharing about the simplicity of this business, and that gives you clarity to be able to execute. And then JT gave you an amazing exercise that you could do to give you immense clarity. Go and write down your perfect day of what it would look like in real estate. And then your action item after you write it down is go to your team lead, brokerage manager, whoever it is that could hold you accountable to running that perfect day, and just run it one time. And that will help you tremendously in this business, because like Troy has said, man, when you make it simple, you make it clear. And when you have clarity, you can execute. Remember the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business. It's top producers take action. Take action on that today.